Charms. Charms are the most common and foundational form of magic in the wizarding world. Instead of changing what something is, charms change how something behaves. You're not turning a teacup into a tortoise, you're making the teacup do something unnatural, like hover, sing, lock itself, or blast someone backwards. That's why first years meet charms early. They're practical, repeatable, and they scale from cute to catastrophic fast. A charm can target objects, people, or even the environment. Wingardium Leviosa is the classic movement charm, while Alohomora alters a lock's behavior. Lumos isn't creating a new object, it's enchanting your wand tip to emit light. And then you've got combat charms like Expelliarmus, disarming, stupefy, stunning, and Protego, shielding. Still charms, just the version taught when Hogwarts stops pretending life is safe. Charms also love rules. Many require a precise incantation, wand movement, and intent. Say Leviosa wrong and your feather laughs at you. Push your intent the wrong way and your helpful charm becomes a hazard. That's why charms feel like coding. One tiny mistake and your spell runs. Just not the program you meant. Some charms fade instantly, others stick as charm work on objects, from a bewitched ceiling to protective charms on a home. And yes, the Ministry has paperwork for this too. Transfiguration. Transfiguration is the don't mess this up branch of magic. Spells that change what something is, not vibes, not behavior, identity. You take matter, reshape it, and force reality to agree. That's why McGonagall's classroom feels like an exam hall with teeth. One sloppy thought and your pincushion grows whiskers forever. There are two basic lanes, switching one object into another, a match into a needle, or transforming a subject's form, an animagus, or turning a desk into a pig. Hypothetically, humans are the hardest because you're fighting consciousness, complexity, and ethics. Partial transfiguration is infamous for a reason. You can get a success that's also a nightmare. This is how you end up with someone half human, half teapot lid, and everyone agreeing to never speak of it again. Transfiguration also has rules: permanence, reversal, and the famous exceptions like Gam's law of elemental transfiguration. You can't just conjure perfect food out of nothing with transfiguration and call it lunch. You can multiply, move, or modify existing food, but create life-sustaining meals from thin air is not a cheat code Hogwarts hands you. Even teachers slip. Remember Malfoy as a ferret and a class laughing while he squeaked? In short, charms are safer. Transfiguration is power with consequences. Defensive spells. Defensive magic is basically wizard combat's immune system. Shields, counters, and nope buttons that keep you alive long enough to win. The iconic core is the shield charm, Protego, a barrier that blocks or deflects many incoming spells. Then you get scaled up variants like Protego Maxima, used for larger protective coverage and often alongside layer defenses. Counter magic is about ending spells already in effect. Finite Incantatem is your general purpose spell of switch when it works, while specific counters exist for specialized magic like Vulnera Senatur, functioning as a counter healing response to curse damage. Defensive casting also includes disruption spells. Expelliarmus, disarming, is technically defensive, but in practice it's a fight stopper. Then there's environmental defense, protective enchantments, wards, and layered barrier work. Think Hogwarts level protections, home protections, and anti-intruder measures. You also see anti-magic behaviors in duels, blocking line of sight, forcing misfires, breaking concentration, and using timing to interrupt a curse mid-cast. Variants matter here more than almost anywhere. Nonverbal shields rapid cast Protego timing, and stacked defenses can turn the same spell from helpful into you're not getting through this, sorry. Jinxes. A jinx is basically the wizarding world's small problem, big inconvenience spell. It's magic meant to annoy, trip up, or lightly harm a target, not destroy them. Think trip jinx, jelly legs, tickling, tooth growing chaos, or anything that makes an opponent lose timing, balance, or composure. In dueling terms, jinxes are the spells you use to open a window, to set up a disarm, force a mistake, or keep someone from casting cleanly. Jinx variants often come down to intensity and target specificity. Some jinxes are broad hit the body effects. Others are precision hits that attack a single function: legs, tongue, grip, strength, breath, rhythm. And because jinxes are often considered lighter dark self-cleaning magic. They also show up constantly in school-level conflict, which is why the wizarding world has a whole ecosystem of counter jinxes and reversal spells. Also, jinxes scale nastily with creativity. A jinx that's funny in a hallway becomes terrifying when used mid-flight, mid-stairs, or mid-duel. The spell didn't change, the context did. Curses. Curses are the serious mode spells, magic meant to damage, disable, or destroy, usually with intent behind it. They're heavier than everyday charms, and a lot of them are literally named as curses in canon. You've got blunt force destruction like the Reductor Curse, Reducto, which can blast objects apart, and blasting curses like Confringo, used to blow things up with that nasty explosive kick. Then there's Sectum Sempra, a specialty curse that slashes like invisible blades and keeps bleeding until you know the counter, Vulnera Senator. Curses also include personal harm effects. The Cruciatus Curse is its own tier. We'll get there. But even outside the Unforgivables, you've got cursed injuries, cursed objects, and curse work that lingers. Think cursed necklaces, cursed rings, or protections that bite back when touched. Variant-wise, curses scale wildly depending on power, precision, and control. The same Confringo can be a controlled blast or a full-on detonation. And the scariest part, plenty of curses don't just hit you, they stick, forcing counter magic, healing, or specialized curse breakers to undo them. Binding and restraining spells. Binding and restraining magic is basically the wizarding world's you're not going anywhere toolkit. The cleanest example is Incarcerus, which conjures ropes that snap around a target and cinch tighter the more they struggle. In practice, it has tons of variants, thicker bindings, multiple coils for multiple targets, or ropes that pin you to a chair, a tree, or a broom handle mid-flight. Then you've got the full-body bind curse, Petrificus Totalus, which doesn't tie you up, it turns you into a rigid statue. Pair that with a levitation charm and congratulations, you've invented wizarding luggage. For partial restraint, Impedimenta, the impediment jinx slows an enemy down, while Immobilis can freeze movement in small creatures or swarms. And for the most literal magical contract restraint, the Unbreakable Vow binds two people to an oath so hard that breaking it kills the vow breaker. Most restraints have counters. Finite Incantatem can drop simple bindings, while Defindo can physically slice ropes, if you can still move and a strong shield charm helps. Healing spells. Healing magic is the wizarding world's quiet superpower. They can fix injuries that would end a muggle life, but not everything is fixable, especially dark curses. For quick field fixes, you've got spells like Episci, minor injuries, Anepneo, clearing an airway, and stabilization convenience magic like Ferula, bandages. For deeper damage, healing becomes specialized. Vulnera Senator is a major example. It's used to close curse slashes like Sectum Sempra wounds, suggesting some injuries aren't normal healing. They need a specific magical response. And in St. Mungo's, a lot of the work is less one spell solves it and a more layered treatment, repairing tissue, controlling magical bleeding, preventing cursed relapse, and managing injuries caused by dark magic. Reparative magic overlaps here too. Reparo and precise variants like fixing glasses restores objects, while the body often needs more careful skilled magic. Healing isn't just reverse damage, it's knowledge plus technique plus limits, especially when curses are involved. Mental and memory spells. Mental magic manipulates the mind itself, thoughts, memories, perception, and awareness. At its core is legilimency, the magical invasion of another person's thoughts. This isn't passive mind reading, it requires eye contact, focus, and emotional leverage. Resistance is possible through occlumency, which acts as mental shielding by controlling one's inner emotional landscape. Memory-specific magic is even more ethically loaded. Obliviate removes or alters memories, ranging from small edits to full mental erasure. Improper casting can permanently damage the mind, as seen with Gilderoy Lockhart and later with Hermione's self-inflicted memory modification. Variants depend on precision. Sloppy obliviation destroys cognition, while controlled use selectively removes targeted memory strands. This category also includes suggestion-based magic, dream influence, and subconscious manipulation, some of which overlap with dark arts when used coercively. Imperious technically affects the mind, but it bypasses cognition entirely, making it its own category. Mental magic is feared not because it kills, but because it rewrites identity, which in the wizarding world is considered one of the gravest violations possible. Patronus magic. Patronus magic is the only spell in the wizarding world that literally runs runs on happiness. After facing a Dementor, you're told to eat chocolate to stabilize your emotions, because the Patronus charm feeds on positive feeling, and not just any good thought. As Lupin teaches Harry, you need a single powerful happy memory, something so vivid it can push despair out of your mind. The spell itself, Expecto Patronum, converts that emotion into magical energy. At first, most witches and wizards can only manage a non-corporeal Patronus, silver mist that still repels Dementors. With mastery, it becomes corporeal, forming a specific animal that reflects the caster's inner nature. Advanced variants include the Messenger Patronus, where the animal carries spoken words across vast distances, immune to interception. We see this when Snape casts his last Patronus to help Harry find the Sword of Gryffindor. Elemental magic. Elemental magic is where the wizarding world briefly turns into Avatar: The Last Airbender, minus the glowing eyes. Instead of bending, witches and wizards conjure and control elements through spells. Fire shows up with Incendio, which can scale from sparks to combat flames, and Bluebell Flames, magical fire that burns blue and can be safely contained. Water appears through Aguamenti, producing anything from a drinkable stream to a force strong enough to knock enemies back. Then there's environmental control. The flame freezing charm makes fire harmless. Impervious repels water, and weather-related charms subtly alter wind, fog, or temperature. In duels, elemental magic isn't about flashy damage, it's about owning the battlefield. Slippery floors, blinding steam, heat distortion. You don't need to defeat your enemy, just let the elements do it for you. We see peak-level elemental control when Dumbledore traps Voldemort inside a massive water sphere, and later summons a ring of fire in the cave. At this point, it's safe to assume he was secretly trained by Uncle Iroh and Katara. Spatial and time magic. Spatial and time magic includes spells that manipulate location, distance, and temporal flow. Rather than causing direct damage, these spells don't create force, they reposition reality itself. Apparition is the most flexible spatial variant, allowing a witch or wizard to fold space and relocate instantly. More advanced forms include Sidelong Apparition, which multiplies risk by requiring multiple bodies to be reconstructed at once. Portkeys are a fixed anchor spatial variant, binding magical travel to an enchanted object with a preset trigger. The Flu Network is a regulated variant, limiting movement to controlled magical nodes to reduce splinching and spatial drift. Time magic variants are far rarer. Time Turners allowed short-range temporal displacement, usually measured in hours. These spells create personal timelines, not global changes, which is why memory overlap, duplication, and paradoxical injuries were common side effects. Unforgivable curses. The unforgivable curses are the Ministry's instant life sentence list. Imperio, Crucio, and Avada Kedavra. What makes them different isn't just the damage, it's the required intent. These spells don't work properly if you're half-hearted. That's why saying the words isn't enough, you have to mean it. Imperio, the Imperious curse, is total control, puppeteering someone's body and choices. The key variant is strength of influence. Weak Imperio feels like a foggy suggestion. Strong Imperio is remote control. Resistance is possible, Harry does it, but it takes willpower and awareness. Crucio is pure pain with no practical purpose except suffering. The variant here is again intent. Bellatrix explicitly tells Harry that righteous anger isn't the same as enjoying cruelty. Crucio responds to that darker commitment. And Avada Kedavra is the clearest horror. Instant death, no injury, no blood, just life switched off. It's also not a generic strong spell. It's difficult, requires power, and is unblockable by normal shield charms. You dodge, you interrupt, or you counter tactically. These three are banned because they're not spells, they're weapons. Forbidden spells. We already covered the unforgivable curses earlier, but forbidden magic goes far beyond direct combat spells. This category includes magic that permanently alters fate, life, or the soul, usually through ritual-based variants rather than single incantations. Dark Resurrection magic exists only as ritual variants. Voldemort's resurrection ritual reconstructed a body using bone, blood, and enchanted flesh, but it did not restore a whole soul. The result is life sustained by magic, not humanity. Horcrux creation represents the most extreme soul manipulation variant. Murder fractures the soul, and dark anchoring spells bind that fragment to an object. Variants differ in protection and concealment, but all cause irreversible spiritual damage. Speaking of irreversible damage, let's talk about all 12 Muggle events that affected the wizarding world. That's your next lesson here at Stickman Hogwarts. Watch it now before Voldemort finds his nose.